All right. Zoom user, can you identify yourself?
Barbara Cormier.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna call to order a select board meeting for December 8th. The meeting's being recorded. This is a work session for the police chief to discuss department status, goals, and priorities, and the update of the board. Work sessions, participations only if allowed. Um, so, Chief Fahey. We had talked about it briefly previously that we wanted to have you assess the department and let the board know what your intentions are moving forward. It's you.
So since coming to the department, I had to uh basically redo everything inside there. So right now, we're operating with a full-time officer, but we're sh also sharing that officer with the fire department or the EMS in town. We have one part-timer and he works roughly 12 hours a week. Um, And myself, I'm working 8 hours a week right now, just doing LTCs and the admin stuff, and some patrols. Um,
Hi, Charlie Bassett looks short. Why on earth are you? Couldn't get
Guys,
anything.
let's mute yourselves, please.
Where's he from? All I did was raise.
uh, so and since coming, the vehicles had to get some work done. Not that they were being ignored, but they needed some work, brakes, tires, oil, that kind of stuff.
Do you know if there is any sort of maintenance schedule on in the building or anything that?
Not that I've come across.
Okay.
When I got there, they were both the officers were like, "This needs to be done. This needs to be done. This needs to be done." So we kind of knocked that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
We're not recording.
We're not?
Are we recording?
Yeah, I started it.
I think it said it did.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I logged in, it said it was recording, so you should be good, Steve.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Chris.
So right now, we have the day shift officer. She's we've got her increasing patrols and traffic monitoring in the high traffic areas. And our current equipment that we have, other than stuff that we carry on our persons. So we have two vehicles, and one towable radar. And the towable radar doesn't work at all. It needs a lot of work. And one of the vehicles is, I think it's an F-350, which is, that has no use for us. Well, we can't really use it.
There's no cage in it.
No, there's no cage. We can use it on details. It has lights, but it's not really practical for patrolling.
Sure.
Yeah, it's 9 miles long,
Right.
burns 7 gallons per minute.
So, going forward with the department, I would like to see another full-time officer, on evenings. I mean, we can play around with the schedule a little bit. There's so many calls that are going unfilled after Mary goes home.
Mhm.
And the state police just aren't equipped to handle, running calls in Alfred or Mount Washington and then having to come over here for our stuff. So I would like to see another full-timer just to supplement Mary.
Do you think it would be easier, just as far as staffing goes, to find a full timer or to find a few part timers to take up the roles?
I think the I think that going the full-time route is the way to go. Finding part-timers today is becoming ever more difficult. They don't have the part-time academy, the post commission got rid of that. So it's very, very hard just to find part-timers.
Yeah, so they actually had an academy to create a part-time position.
Yes, and they did away with it, say 5 years ago. So this crisis was coming. And I saw it coming, but a lot of people didn't. Every time there was an academy out in Springfield or whatever, you know, young cops would be beating down the doors trying to get, part-time here, part-time Monterey, New Marlboro. Now, nobody.
Yeah.
I think New Marlboro's had um, something in the paper to hire part-timers for months, and they can't get anybody.
Got it.
So, the chief's position, I think we can do it as is, the way it is now. I think 8 and 10 hours or something a week would suffice just to get payroll done and to pay the department bills and to oversee, Mary and the other full-timer, the other part-timers we have. Um, let's see. Having the department be more involved with community events, like the thing we did for Halloween or Christmas or stuff like that, just getting out in the community. And traffic enforcement, I'd like to see that become more of a priority in town. We get a lot of complaints on speed and, so getting them out there to do that. Training for the officers, getting them, more trained. There's classes all over the state. They're free.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth pays for them. We just have to pay for their time, which is,
Sounds
yeah, just recruiting officers for the department. I could use a couple part-timers, but like I said, they're hard to come by.
But that would be a stopgap until you got
Yeah,
two more permanent positions.
right.
Yeah, I know the traffic enforcement and people, especially down on 8, there was talk about possibly changing the speed limit down there, but I don't think that's how you fix it. I mean, I think presence,
Yes.
when people know there's a cop sitting there, or an officer sitting there, they're gonna slow down. Or could be, especially a spot by where Mia was. I know that drops from like 40 to 20,
Right.
and you can hear people, all the big trucks, like slowing down in a hurry
Right.
right there. So I see here on the budget, there's an opportunity here because the way it was structured before, the previous police chief was essentially almost working full-time, doing all the after-hour calls, but on a per diem basis.
Right.
So that budget is what you'd be fiddling with in order to produce this other full-time position that would be obligated to serve those after-hour calls.
Right. Yes.
Um,
So, I've reduced a few line items. I've done away with some line items. So, there is a 30% increase to the budget with that,
Mhm.
but I think so we'd be going from 152 to 196. But I squeezed the police chief stipend. I dropped the salaries, the part-time salary budget from 53 to 46. And we did away with the sheriff's control and the police department admin.
Well, the salaries, so if the part-time salaries wouldn't even be necessary if you had a full-time position, right?
I think you still have to fund it. Just you're still going to want to keep part-timers on, and say Mary works 40 hours and then we have an evening shift work 40 hours, that's still going to leave the weekends open, or
Sure.
that's still going to leave a few shifts.
Sure.
And if we could have somebody come in maybe 8 hours a week or something like that,
Sure.
we could still use them.
And what is the call volume that you're saying? Do you have a sense of where that's at? Because I've something has to be pushing this need for the extra coverage.
Yeah, so we we have around, I think on one of my sheets here, about 1,200 calls a year, which is a lot. That's a lot of calls.
And those are strictly police calls.
I can't say if they're entirely police calls, but they're all calls that we respond to. So whether they're fire calls or EMS calls, that's still something that the police respond to, because a lot of times police are going to get there before fire or before EMS because they're already on.
That's right.
Um, so I think the call volume justifies. I mean, the call volume here might even be a little bit higher than it is in Monterey.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah, I mean it's a it's a big jump.
and like I said, I think I spoke with you before about this. You know, when you have somebody in town and they're responding to calls from their house, you know, the calls are getting rough.
Yeah.
If you don't have that person in town on call, then either the state police are doing it or they get to it when they can. I think the people of Sandisfield would be better served by having somebody here.
Well, that was a benefit to our previous chief. He was doing all those random hour calls.
Right.
And there was a cost to it, of course, as well. I think we have on here roughly 37 of that budget was just from him. The other would have been from Adam and then whatever overtime, which would have contributed to that police department salaries.
But really, your whole increase is just adding the positions.
Right.
It's- The rest of it's pretty negligible.
I mean, so our department expenses went up, 4%.
Yeah.
So a few $100,
Yeah.
$500.
What's in the department expenses?
Well, that's just our bills. Phone bill, working on the vehicles, any kind of expense that arises throughout the year. Or staples or clips, computers, bullets, training, all of our trainings.
Okay, that comes out of everything.
What do you think about that full-time position?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I think somehow we have to cover the calls that Michael was responding to, right? I kind of feel like, maybe the part-time number doesn't have to be quite so high because if we hire somebody full-time and they're covering a lot of those calls, if Michael was doing all of them at 37,000 for the year or very close to all of them, then maybe that number could go down to offset it slightly. Because it's going to come down to whether or not, obviously the residents have an appetite
Sure.
for the increase. So if we are hiring a full-time person,
Right.
and that's what you're thinking, like the 4 to 12.
Yeah, probably the 4 to 12, Mary, or having some sort of overlap, maybe 3 to 11,
Sure.
and then having that 1 hour where they can talk about
Handoff.
right. But you still have to find somebody.
Sure.
So in the meantime, you could put this out and 6 months from now, we still don't have, a candidate.
Sure.
So, I think we should probably not take too much out of that account.
Unless you were to draw off the full-time account to pay for the part-timers. Yeah, I mean, until the person was hired. You could do a little bit.
Sure.
You could do a little bit up.
Yes,
back
I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause that might work just so we don't have to have too much in contingency,
right.
Um,
So I'm just asking, because I haven't done a salary survey or anything, does that number make sense? Because I didn't know if the number that we were giving Mary was because she's also duly certified as an EMT.
No, it's pretty comparable. It might even be a little low. And I gave her a 3% COLA increase. I don't know what you guys
That
are
is-
deciding on,
Yeah.
but that's just what I did.
well, as far as the budget goes, I guess we'll go through it when we start doing our budget meetings too. This is just a first look. I was really interested just personally to understand, what was the state of the department, where are we at? Um, what's the best way to move forward? It seems like you got some ideas on handling the calls that were lost. I know from that complaint we received from one of the residents about the Jeeps and stuff,
Right.
calls were made, and because there wasn't that person in town, there's definitely a need. There's definitely a need for something like that.
Well, I think the night before the state police were called, and I don't think he liked the way that it was handled.
Mhm.
And so he called me last night wanting a different outcome which is, we're going to handle residents a lot different than say the state police will too. We have a more community oriented way of handling things than say they do,
Sure,
which I think a lot of people in town would prefer.
sure. And plus they're so far away and so stretched already. They got to prioritize the calls on there as they come in. Um,
Would you ever, if you hired another full timer, did you ever, I don't know, is it like 4 on, 2 off, so that way they end up covering some weekends?
Yeah, that's I was thinking that too. You do a 4 and 2, you're always going back that one day, so your weekends are covered. Yeah, I think that would actually be very good because
Because if Mary went on 4 and 2, too, and as long as they were staggered, you probably get most weekends covered.
yes, yeah, I think that we need to look at the schedule and play around with it a little bit.
all right.
So, I have the capital purchase request. My intent is to get rid of the F-350 and either give it to the highway department or give it to the fire department. It seems like the need is the fire department. They have boats and things they need to tow around. It just doesn't make any sense for us to hang on to it.
We also have a current situation when one of the fire vehicles, I was told that they were asked to change their lights.
Yes.
So there's a situation there where we're gonna have to. So if we were, I guess what I'm getting at is if the 350 was taken, that too would be the same situation where if it was a fire vehicle, we'd have to change lights to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the plates are gonna be an issue. That's just going to the registry and swapping plates out, getting fire plates instead of police plates.
Sure.
And I really don't know what's involved with, I mean, from what I remember, I thought you could just replace the lenses, but I don't know how things work today.
Sure.
But they should go from blue to red.
They should, yeah.
I think so it's the chief's vehicle that you're talking about, and I think if you look at it, it's the light itself because it's the LEDs now, so it has to be the light that gets changed out now. It's not just the lens anymore.
Okay. Gotcha.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so regardless, I mean, we can work that part of it out. Yeah, so the previous chief had asked for an F-150 and that was a consensus, same reasonings that you're giving here. Just for those back roads that are really difficult to get to.
Do you know anything about the grant that Graham won for his pickup?
Not really. I'll have to ask him about it. It had something to do with Department of Agriculture.
I think that truck was fully funded by a grant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it. Yeah, do we have any grant writers in town?
Not working for the town, there's that one woman who,
I mean,
Let me-
it seems like an in-depth grant, but,
Oh, okay.
I'll look into it
Yeah.
and see if it's still there.
Yeah, find out the details and then
Right.
see if we can get it to happen.
Yeah, but
Is the 85, is that, all equipped, lights, computer, ready to rip,
yes. Yeah.
radar and all that stuff?
Uh, yes, so I think the truck is 47,000 and then everything else is, yeah. Well, that's everything, but you know, so I got the quote and we can whittle it down, we can look at certain things that we need, some things that we don't need, you know, do we need the brush guard, maybe not, I don't know, that's $1,000 or, you know. So we can certainly look at it. But
there is 9 grand in the cruiser
Oh, from the details? Nice.
as of October, so there's probably more.
Oh, great.
That policy went into effect and I had a detail for 15 days.
Uh-oh.
2 officers.
oh, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know,
I think it is.
10 years ago, we weren't even doing it. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's such a good idea.
yeah, I mean, it's wear and tear. We're
Yeah.
asking for it. So,
And like you say, I mean, hasn't even been a year and $1,000.
In the 3-4 months,
Yeah.
so that's probably a quarter. Yeah, you're talking about replacing a vehicle every 3 or 4 years. That's it. So that's
Right.
pretty good. Pretty good. And so essentially, Chief's just been going over his thoughts. Give you a quick recap. He's asking for potential full-time officer, possibly stealing some of the monies from what old chief used to do, what Michael used to do. Essentially, Michael was doing all the after hours odd time calls, which there's obviously a need, roughly 1,200 calls a year.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's just breaking out all the numbers for us, so. And then capital requests of F-150, roughly 85.
Sure, that's the vehicle you want?
I just think, you know, what is it, 90 miles of roads? And a lot of them are dirt, you know, in the winter time, it just makes sense. In the spring, mud season. And, you know, the car versus the truck, I mean, we're not talking a lot of money. You know, it's 47 for the truck. For the car, it's very similar, you know, maybe 5,000 less.
So we're
So,
talking at least a quarter cage in it.
Oh, yeah.
You can make arrests.
yeah, it'll have the cage, it'll have everything in it. Yeah. You know, and going forward, you know, if, you know, like we decide to, so our car, when we get a new car, take everything out of the car, put it into the new car.
Mhm.
So then, you know, we're saving so much just doing the equipment transfer. Same with the pickup truck, you know, 5 years from now, when we get a new pickup truck or something like that, everything just goes over.
Yeah.
So,
Now, would there be anything from the 350 that could be cannibalized towards the other vehicle?
not really.
Yeah.
Does it have much other than lights and a radio?
Not
Does it have
really.
radar?
I mean, yeah, it does have radar.
It does.
You know, it has a gun vault underneath the back seat. I don't know, cover, you know, supplies, medical supplies, stuff like that. But nothing we can use in the new car. And the radios in that thing are so old, but that grant's gonna take care of that.
Just about a radar, and that's about it.
Right. Well, radars are $3,000, so you know, we can take that and, yeah. And I'm not sure, but I think that this was scheduled to be replaced last year.
It's a weird thing because there was never, from my understanding, there was never a maintenance schedule. There was never an expiration date put on it from the very beginning, like how long it should last.
Right.
So it was on the capital plan, but it was kind of like with the DPW stuff. It's almost like someone just threw a dart at the wall. You know,
Right.
I didn't understand what the reasoning would. Do you know what the mileage is on that vehicle?
Maybe 40,000.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's got a lot of years left,
Yeah,
but just not with us,
sure.
with the fire
But
department.
it also, I mean, just so we don't lose track, there is an hour. I'm sure that thing has more hours than any other vehicle in town, or most vehicles in town.
Yes, yeah,
And there is some
hours.
sort of odometer to hour translation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not, everybody looks at the low mileage, but there is a lot of hours on the.
Yes, yeah. When it idles, it certainly puts wear and tear on it as well. I'm not sure what the formula is, you know,
Yeah.
if you sit for 5 hours,
Is it a 17?
the year,
Yeah.
I think so, yep.
It's been pretty well taken care of. Doesn't have a lot of rust.
No, not that I could tell. I mean,
That's good.
it's solid,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I know what my opinion is. Hired officer, buy the car. Spend the money.
Cool. Do you got any other questions since you came?
No, I think
Do you have
a,
as far as hiring a full-time officer, is there somebody lined up or
Not really.
no?
We're gonna have to put it out there like, I was telling him, we could be waiting. I mean, Beckett, I think has been waiting a year for a full timer. So we would get approved and put it out there and, we'll try and recruit.
And what would their shifts be like? What are you looking to cover?
Well, ultimately, we gotta cover some eaves. You know, we gotta get the eaves covered. Whether that's 4 days on, 2 days off, or it's Monday through Friday or something. I'd like to see the weekends get hit, so.
Don't most departments do 5, 4, and 2?
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Sheffield, I think New Marlboro does.
State police.
Yeah, we don't in Monterey, but I have 3 officers. I work days. I have somebody work eves, and I have somebody work weekends.
Mhm.
So we kind of cover all of the shifts. And we don't have really any part timers over there. So, but yeah, as much coverage as we can get for what we're getting out of the officer.
I have another question. What's the status with Sergeant Gonska? Is he still retained as a sergeant? Does he have any aspirations of becoming a full-time officer?
I don't know. I'd have to ask him. I mean, he's certainly qualified uh for the position. I mean, we could enact the position and he could slide into it the next day. But that's something we'd have to talk with him about.
When I spoke to him about it briefly about a year ago, and he's very committed to his current job that he has.
He's like Amtrak or something.
Yeah, he works for a train company. It's a pretty good job. I mean, he does this part-time,
Right.
on the side, but we guys have any more questions? We let somebody else ask a question. Carl, you got your hand up? You'd like to ask a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I got 3 things that I wanted to bring up. I like the discussion of the four on, 2 off and staggering the shifts, but I was going to suggest that, if we looked at call volume by shift and got some sense of which shifts tend to statistically have the highest call volumes, that might help guide us in terms of, what we do in that regard with the new full-time officer. So that was one thing. The second thing was, with Mary, she's an EMT. So, when an EMT call comes in, she can help with that. If we're going to hire another full-time police officer, do we want that person to also have EMT And I realize that adding that requirement would make it harder for us to find a person, but my gut feel on this is we should say that, we'd like somebody to have EMT along with police. But if we can't find that, then we go without that. But I just think, given that we got the situation with Mary set up that way, I'm wondering why, if we're going to hire another full-time police officer, why we wouldn't try and go the same route with that. And then the third thing I wanted to bring up was, a question for the new chief. Before we had a meeting with the prior chief, and the issue of traffic tickets came up and speeding and all that. And he stated pretty emphatically that we just give warnings. We don't actually write tickets. I'm wondering what your policy is going to be on that.
Well, it's usually officer discretion, but, and I by law can't force an officer to write tickets. But I would strongly advise writing citations. I mean, warnings are warranted for anything, but so aren't citations. You pull the same person over a few times, well, yeah, they get a citation. Or in excessive speed, if you're doing 15 or 20 miles over the speed limit, then they should get a citation. And that's how I feel, and I will convey my how I want to do things to Mary and the new officer and Adam.
The argument that was made previously by the prior chief was, you end up having to go to court for the traffic ticket, and it's a hassle for the people, and you have to pay them overtime to go. And it basically, I think the argument was, it's really not worth our time and effort to write citations.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't agree with that, but I'm just,
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with it either. Just, say you write 10 tickets, 5 people might automatically pay those tickets, and then 5 people will take it to court. And now, all our citations are on Zoom. So we can go to court from the office and do the citations from there. So it's not,
okay, very good.
yeah, it's not really as big a deal as maybe it used to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe the judge will throw out 3 of those 5 that take them to court, but that's the price of doing business.
That's, yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I got a general question.
Exactly that.
But it's also problematic. It's problematic for the chief of police in town to say that we're not giving out tickets to anybody. Like, that really says a lot to everybody in town. Like, drive what you want, do what you want. We're not gonna give.
Well, if you're doing 20 over and you get a ticket, you deserve it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's 65 miles an hour down Route 57.
Right.
We shouldn't be talking about Barbara while she's not here.
Oh, she's there. She's doing music. I made her announce herself. She's doing music.
I think Chris has got it.
I have a question about the citations. Where does that money go? Does that come back to the town? Does it stay in the state stands? Just a general question.
Yeah, so say we write a ticket for $100. $50 of that right off the top goes to some head injury fund at the state level. $5, I think, to every citation goes to police training. That's why all of our trainings now are free. And then what's left over, we have to split with the state. So, out of $100 ticket, we don't get much of it.
$20, something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very little.
It's amazing.
And what is the average ticket that you write? It's 15 over is gonna get you up there a little bit.
15 over, it's basically $10 for every mile over. So that's 150, 50-ish, 55. It's $155. So
There's value in the term. The president.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's definitely not a moneymaker.
Yeah.
But it'll slow you down.
right. And just a
Nobody
lot of
likes
times
the insurance
just having the presence
Yeah.
will slow people down.
Absolutely.
You're sitting at the rest area on Route 8, people see a cop sitting there, they're gonna slow down.
That spare cruiser parked in center of Monterey slows everybody down.
Right.
You're gonna have to borrow that.
Sometimes you guys moving in front of the store. That really get you.
Chris says,
Hey, Chris, would you like to say something? Sorry about holding you up.
No, it's quite all right. So Carl did touch on some of it, but I just wanted to put out there while we're discussing the positions and everything, just to remember that, if you do take Mary away from us, we just have to fill it with somebody else. And I know that's part of Chief Grillo's master plan is to kind of have Mary not be relied on as much Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. So just as we're looking at the numbers, just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Any other questions?
I just wanted to quickly go back to this year.
Mhm.
Because we haven't really quite figured out when we put out the police chief position, how we wanna compensate that position.
Sure.
So I didn't know if anybody had any thoughts on it.
I would just want to see where we're at with the budget at this point. I mean, that would help us make that decision.
Sure.
Um, that salary line item was mostly being taken up by the previous chief. So, I mean, there should be money left in
Yeah,
it.
I think we're worried about how much funding we have. I think it's just about if we wanna do a higher stipend and not pay an hourly for on-call, if we wanna sort of keep it the same way that it is. I know Monterey, they do, on-call 40 hours a day, $40 a day rather. We've got a couple options and I wanna have an idea before I actually put that position out.
Mhm.
Cause I also think it gets more people looking at it if we actually put the top things.
Sure.
Do you wanna, would you keep doing the job as you're doing it? The long term?
So, I made this budget out as if I was doing it. Not that I am or anything like that for next year, but I just did it the way it is now. So I reduced the stipend to 5,000. And I just kept it at the way it is now. So if I work the 8 hours a week, the way that it's going, it'll come out to 16,000 something, 16,000 change. So that leaves us with 30,000 left over basically in the like part-time budget. But if I come in and say there's a crash on Route 8 and then I have to go to court or something, like 16,000 in change is just me doing admin payroll. But I may have to add time for different events that might come up.
No, my question is do you wanna keep doing the job? For the town of Sandisfield?
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it.
I just
I
wondering.
mean, if you're gonna put it out there, I would put in for it.
Yeah, cool. Sweet.
So there's other offsets too. So when an officer does a detail, do they also get paid by the town?
No. So
Right.
right now, if
That gets paid by the
Yeah.
company who hires for the detail.
we bill and pay, and we're the middleman for that detail.
right, but that's the 10% administrative fee that we get.
Sure.
For out of every single detail, we get 10%, and that's just for billing it and processing the checks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the cruiser fee at $30 an hour, we get that too.
No, I see that actually placing into like.
Where's the 10% go?
I think it goes in the general fund. That's how I've always thought.
Yeah, it does.
Is that how the payrolls are done? When say if Mary was doing a detail, does she not get paid from the town, so she doesn't get 40 that week?
She'll cover it somewhere else, like she'll work a double somewhere else. But yes, she won't get paid if she does a detail. That doesn't count towards her 40 hours.
So we have to wait essentially for these Verizon, National Grid, whoever to pay their bill before we can pay Mary.
Got it.
Some towns, they have a revolving account.
Yep.
And, Mary would do the 8 hours. The town would give her the money for what she worked.
Yep.
And then the money would be replaced by when Verizon wrote that check, we would just replace that into that account.
We don't have that.
We don't, no. But it would be something to look at. I mean,
Yeah, because I've seen the details come in. I never asked about how they account.
Do you know how much the 10% generally on average adds up to annually?
it depends how many details come through.
For sure, yeah.
You know, and so right now, since we don't have many part-timers or officers, so we have 4 officers a day working on Route 8. We have 2 cruisers a day working on Route 8. We're not seeing any of that money because Otis is doing them and Holland, all these area departments are doing them because we can't fill them. So we don't get the 10% and we don't get the cruiser fee. So that's why I think it's important that we do some recruiting and see if we can get some people here.
So an idea, Ed up in Tolland was talking to me about potentially getting, what is the name on there? It was one of their old cruisers. It's like traffic something or other.
Yes,
He's created this
he
thing.
brought that to me too, and I was going to discuss it with you guys at some point.
Do you think you could use the 350
Yes,
to do that?
I think that would be,
Because then we could start and we would benefit from the $30 an hour.
yes, I think it would be very profitable for us if we brought them in.
So is that where somebody comes to our town to pick up that vehicle to do a detail?
So we would have to essentially hire them as part-time employees.
Mhm.
They would run a traffic control unit and then just do details for us.
Because it doesn't always have to be an officer doing details, right? Because the guy that used to be on our DPW, the Deming, he does them all over the place. I don't believe
Ed?
he's an officer.
Ed?
No, the kid. He worked for
Yeah.
DPW too.
Tim,
Oh,
yeah, that's kid.
But he's not an officer.
No, but they have to go to training. They do have to go to like flag training.
yeah, Tiger School.
Yeah, which I don't think is a huge deal, but
Okay.
yeah, he brought it to me and I'm okay with it.
It's a good revenue.
It is.
He got me in Tractor Supply.
Oh, yeah, he got me like, yeah,
Like, how many minutes?
I
right.
think the constable can also do. details.
Yes, yep,
I think that would probably be even a better use for that old F-350. I mean, that's just what, it just sits there idling and slowing people down for detail and make money on it.
yep,
$30 an hour
Yep.
every time it goes out.
yep.
So I
And-
do know that, sorry, I know that Chief Grillo was interested in the F-350 as well, because we have nothing to tow the trailers with.
Well, get your checkbook out.
The fire truck could totally pull a boat.
Doesn't have a hitch.
So, yeah, I mean, we could discuss it further, but yeah, I'm okay with that too. I think, and they're very reliable. They work out of Tolland right now. So every single detail that Tolland does for us, they're getting all of it.
Yep,
It's a vehicle already marked and ready to go.
ready to go. That's it. It just says traffic something.
Right.
What does it say on the side of it? Traffic something.
Traffic control.
Traffic controller or something
I
like
think
that.
that's right, yeah.
There's a retired police cruiser.
Right.
It's a really good.
But that
idea.
goes the same way because every area department will call and say, I need a detail. And then, he can go work in Otis and then we'll get their money.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if we could get Lemon to sign on for part-time in the town. Gary, you know Gary?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder.
Let's see if I can
Wrangle him up.
poach them.
Alright.
Yeah, and like Carl was saying, go back to the full-time guy. If we hire somebody that isn't EMT trained, we can always send them to school. I mean, that's not a big deal either. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if we'd want to put it on the position right off the bat. I think we could offer it.
Right.
Say it's encouraged or preferred or something like that.
Right.
We
But
could
I wouldn't make it
we could
a
also add,
tipping point.
could potentially be an add-on, add a few.
Yeah, if
dollars
you
per
go
hour
get
or
this,
whatever.
you get this.
Yeah.
Right.
Margaret has done it in the past. It worked out for a while. I
Right.
mean, Graham Frank is still an EMT and does calls. John Mullen used to be an EMT, no longer is, but
Yep.
I mean, it is nice having the more of the merrier.
No, I agree. I think it's a great benefit. It's a good idea. Um, Carl, yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking more about this topic that's up there now. So when Chris mentioned that Mike wanted to rely less on Mary, I surmise that was because Mike would like to have the person be firefighter one and EMT that he's got on call. Okay, so I do think there's a decision to be made here, like what's the higher priority? Like, do we have combined police EMT positions or or do we have the combined EMT firefighter one positions? I'm sensing here based on what Chris said about where Mike was planning ahead that there's a divergence of thought there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I can
Sorry?
add a little bit of light to that, and partly to answer Carl's question, and partly to shed some extra light. The thing about Mary is partly that she is not fire trained, but it's also, as Chief Fahey's already kind of expressed too, there are police calls that have to be answered as well. And so if Mary's being called to a prowler on Route 8 and a medical on Route 57, she can't be in both places at once.
Yeah,
And so, we're looking at it from we have to get the ambulance out. And, right now we're relying on Mary and, luckily the call volume is not that of a metropolis, right? But it is just continuing to increase on both the fire EMS side and the police side. So I do think that, Carl brings up a very good point is just identifying where these needs are, but just remembering that we can't put one person in three spots at once.
no, that makes sense. And based on the fire chief's, proposal for the on-calls, it would be a matter, because he's already asked them to cover that position on a decent amount of time already, right?
For next year.
Well, no, just as a current, right now is what's in the budget. So I know that when we see the warrants that the fire department is actually paying payroll for 8 to 4 based on.
Yeah, but sometimes and then because. I mean, Chris, you can speak to this if you want, but I think that they have a harder time covering some of the later shifts and the weekend shifts, and so he covers that instead of the 8 to 4 because it's easier to cover.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chris wants to correct me if that was wrong or not, but
Sure.
No,
I think
that's accurate.
yeah, somehow between the two departments, we could have a broader meeting, understanding the schedules and what makes sense for everybody. Because that makes a lot of sense what Chris is saying. If we have a dual call and there isn't another officer in town, one of them has to.
Well, that's been we've talked about that in the past. If there's a car accident on Route 8, Mary shows up. The more dire need at that moment is patient care, life over property, right? But it's Route 8. You also need traffic control, so we can only rely on Tolland or Otis to come down and cover us so much. I mean, they will, but the reality of that situation is that she is an EMT at that point, not an officer on that scene.
Which would be every motor vehicle accident.
Pretty much every motor vehicle accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Decisions to make through the budget process. And we'll circle around on these. I don't think tonight's the night to be making the decisions, but we gotta look at the budget as a whole in town.
And I think that maybe a work session with all EMS, police and not all, I'm just saying police and fire chiefs.
Yep.
To discuss a lot of that stuff would probably be well.
I get it. Well, it also puts a wrench in it too, like Carl said, if we did try to hire in the same capacity, we're leveraging ourselves against it. And
I do think, Steve, one more thing, that meeting, you know, where you talk about getting the chiefs together, we talk about fire EMS and police. Again, I just think it'd be really, really helpful if we could take the calls and parse them by shift and get some sense of what the volume is as a function of the shift, because I think we're gonna see real big discrepancies in what the call volumes are by shift. And I think
Sure.
that's gonna help guide us a lot in terms of figuring out what we really need to prioritize for coverage.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense, Carl. Thank you.
Monterey's not 24 hours a day, really.
After midnight, I go on call.
Call, yeah.
So I'm on call every night of the year.
Yep.
Both 8.
Yep.
So you just gotta clone yourself.
I know.
And you could probably paint a picture of when calls happen in Monterey.
Yeah, I've been doing this.
And there's probably
20
not
years.
much between 1 and 5,
No,
but I think what happens in Sandisfield is like 1 and 5 is when everybody's drowsy driving on Route 8 and they crash into telephone poles.
right.
So there's going to be discrepancies between the towns, you know, but I think for the majority of the part, you know, you're seeing section 12s and crazy people happening
That's gonna be
before
mostly
midnight.
at night,
Yeah.
but you know, during the daytime, that's when the citizens of Sandisfield want somebody when they want somebody. If they want to call the police department and they want, you know, to talk to a person, you know, that's daytime, that's it. You know, at night, that's when the more rambunctious calls come in. Most daytime stuff is not that.
Neighbor disputes and things like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. Great. I think this is productive. Any other questions before we wrap it up? So at this point, I would motion to adjourn.
Second.
In favor? Fine. Yeah, I think just looking at the call volume, we can ask the chief to do the same. We can have a group meeting where we kind of digest the needs of both departments.
Yeah. Definitely.
Thank you for your help in all of
Yeah.
what we've been through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Second that.
We're adjourning this session and opening another one.
Yep.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.